pick up the helicopter is just, it's really an amazing feeling because it's like 5 years culminating, into one day, and all the work the superintendent and his staff had put into purchasing that helicopter. You knew it came down to this day, so we're very excited to pick it up. And then to actually see it all put together and see that everything worked exactly as it's supposed to. It's just a fabulous feeling.
I gotta say, I've been smiling all morning. I realize that today's the day. I had not seen the helicopter until today. I've seen pictures of it, but it's easy to look at pictures. But I guess when you first walked in, it was very real.
There's an Aviation. We got it in 1947.
And to see our retirees come in and have that same feeling, I'm so glad you're here with us.
As soon as the delivery date for the new helicopter was confirmed, Superintendent Carter started setting the ball in motion to have as many of the ISP Aviation retirees there. It's always been his intention to keep the department retirees involved with and up to date on the happenings of the agency. And to top the day off, along with the presentation of the new helicopter, the superintendent was presented a desktop replica as a constant reminder of today's joyous occasion.
Check that out.
So as time went on with our aviation consolidation and our pilots, they've been there for our daily needs, whether it be for the governor or emergency call out where they have to go and help find the lost child or the bad guy, or just our day-to-day needs for the ISP staff. And this new helicopter will give them the ability that they never had before as far as the technology to communicate and see things on the ground that they couldn't see before. They are our eyes in the sky.
I play golf, I play with the green, and I do taxi.
Exciting. That was great to see all the retired guys, I haven't seen some of them for 20 years maybe, almost 20 years, 17 years. So, and to have them all here at once, it's just it's a neat thing that the superintendent did that, to get people together and just talk about the past, some of the things, stories you've heard, you can rehear or hear new ones. So it's pretty neat. And just for them to see this helicopter, it's pretty exciting.
I learned this is the first new helicopter since about 1970, and if I told you what it took to get to where we are, you'd think I'm crazy and you'd put us all my staff in a crazy house. But one of my proudest days probably in the last 5.5 years is today. It's a game changer for the ISP. It's a game changer for the ISP, and many of you know why. There was a time that we were the aviation experts in Indiana, and to all the retirees, I promise you we're going to be again. And today, it starts today. I know Rob McKeeman, where's Rob? Yeah, back in the back. There was a time that we expected the pilot to do almost everything with these aircraft, and not anymore. The technology is such that it requires another person. So Rob has been involved from the very, very beginning. Jiminy Christmas, Dave Ruxager, Eric, Mike Crabtree, Aaron Kauscher, the pilots that are here today. Man. Thank you very, very much. We have a really special guest with us today, and his name's Don Merchant. Don, where are you? Right here. Don walked in, yeah. Don walks in this morning and looks at the pictures over there and starts telling stories about what he sees in those photographs, just as many of you did. There were 3 specific events that I believe allowed us to be able to do what we're about to do. One was a 78-year-old man, I believe up in Rochester, that walked away from a retirement home and died of hypothermia because we couldn't find him, because we didn't have air assets. Second was a 4-year-old down in the Brown County area that disappeared wearing nothing but a diaper in the woods and was found deceased. I know we could have found the little guy. And then third was a police action, ISP police action shooting down, I think in the Shelbyville area, of a wanted violent felon that had broke into a house and sodomized a mom. And I finally just had enough, and I just finally said to everybody, what's a life worth? And it's a hell of a lot more than $6 million. So here we are. And there was a whole lot more in the middle. a whole lot more in the middle. But gosh darn, what a big day for us as an agency. So thank you very much for taking time on a Saturday. The plan was that, that Dave and Eric would bring the helicopter in with all of you here for the first time, but obviously weather didn't cooperate, but it kind of worked out. Because I kind of liken it to my new bike. I don't want to get it dirty. So it's certainly not dirty and it still smells new. So I'm not sure I want them to, I don't know if I want you guys to fly it for a month or two. But I'm of course teasing, but we'll see. To the pilots, be careful what you wish for. Because now here we are. I already apologized to Dave Rucksager's family. I said, I'm the guy that tinkers with your husband's life. All hours of the day and night. I'm very, very grateful to the pilots who give way more of themselves than they'll ever get back. But they get to fly one of the most highly technical helicopters in the country, at least equal to those highly technical helicopters anywhere in the nation. And now the challenge is staffing. So all of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Usually we have people, not assets. That's kind of the history of the ISP. But now we have assets, and now the people come behind it. So the challenge for Mark French and Matt and Larry and I and the staff is to now build a sustainable model by which, when we do decide that this ride is over, that we have something that can carry on. And believe it or not, that's even properly funded. And the worry about money is no longer. That's crazy. That's crazy. And by golly, we're almost there. Highest honor in my life, ladies and gentlemen, to stand here in front of you. And I just cannot tell you what it means to me today. I'll never forget this day. And I'm going to liken it to the day I was sworn in as a superintendent of this agency. I never thought it would be possible. I never thought this would either. So amazing what happens with the power of people. And that's exactly what caused this today. So anyway, thank you all. I love you, appreciate you, and I'll do the very best I can for you every moment of every day. Thanks.
Well, my name is Don Merchant, and I'm one of the older pilots. Probably the first one in the among the first of the pilots to come along after the department at one time was involved in aviation, and then we were out of it for a while. And I got back into aviation in the department in 1969. When the then Governor Whitcomb and State Police Superintendent got together and took advantage of a federal program wherein we were awarded 5 helicopters. And along with the 5 helicopters came free flight instruction for the pilots who applied for the job. I was fortunate enough to be among the first 3 of the ones that were selected to fly those new ships, as we called them. That entailed flight instruction at Bell Helicopter out at Arlington, Texas. We were out there 5, nearly 6 weeks at the time, and at the completion of the course, well, then we brought the ships back to, brought 2 of them to start with back to Indianapolis, and we based them over at the Indianapolis, what is now the Indianapolis International Airport at the time. It was Weir Cook Airport then. They gave us a corner of a hangar over there. It really wasn't all that much. I remember that winter was beastly cold. It was below 0 a lot of the time. And as we trained, sent more people out to Bell, why they provided the other. Initially it was 3, and then the other 2 helicopters came along early in 1970. And when we got finished, well, we had 2 pilots for each copter, and then one administrator, Lieutenant Vogel. And we were initially all based at Indianapolis. And during the a period of organization, why we then one at a time found bases for 4 of those helicopters around the state and kept one in Indianapolis. I saw it grow from the first time that we rolled up on the ramp in one where there was absolutely nothing, but a corner of a hangar. So it grew to the point that following year, in 1970, we leased the old Schweitzer hangar over on the north side of the airport and moved our 5 helicopters over there. And we also had a couple of fixed-wing aircraft. Fixed-wing had a Bonanza Beechcraft. It grew into, of course, what it is today. I understand today this is, of course, I've been retired from the state police now since 1976. It's my understanding that the new ship that they have here now is the first new one that they've had since that day in 1969 when we brought those back from Texas. The cockpit is almost unrecognizable. The technology is something to behold, no doubt about that. It's my opinion that the state police have really got something here now, and people of the state of Indiana are very fortunate that the state police have this. I'm sure that it'll be a very, very big asset to all of the people, and certainly to the state police in their efforts to serve the people. And well worth what it costs. It has unbelievable capabilities.
I came on the department in May of 1978, post-blizzard. I was actually in recruit school. The snow was on the ground right after the blizzard struck in '78. Appointed in May, and I worked Indianapolis and Pendleton districts from 1978 until 1985. I came into aviation in January of '85 and then retired early in 2001. We were pretty active. We went through a couple of phases where I think we're really trying to understand all of our capabilities. But as things evolved, we understood that there was an enormous need for air support for law enforcement. And the entire idea of force multiplier is what we focused on. The idea that if you have some kind of an event going on the ground, whether it's a surveillance or a manhunt or simply traffic enforcement, the aircraft in the air can make those guys on the ground much more effective. Rather than flooding an area with a lot of ground troops, if they're doing a search or trying to set up a perimeter, we could really help them in that regard. And then a lot of the guys on the ground were released to go do other things as long as we could help them maintain the perimeter, and we were the eyes in the sky. And I think we made it a lot safer for them too, particularly on a night search. We could light up the area and basically turn it into daytime, which is obviously, when you can see what's going on around you, if you're a police officer, you're a lot safer than poking around in the dark. When I look around at what they have here now compared to what we had in terms of the technology, it's pretty impressive.
When I first started, like I said, I was at Marion, and then the goal, if you want to fly bigger and better things at that time, was to become a pilot down at Indianapolis. And so at that time, of course, we had twin-engine airplanes. We had several helicopters. So the goal was to come down here, fly the twin-engine airplanes. At that time, I didn't have a helicopter rating. So my goal was to get a helicopter rating. And until about 2005, we had approximately 13 aircraft and about 15 pilots. So, and then at that time, there was a big push to downsize. And so that continued for about the next 10 years. And so we went from a fleet of 13 to a fleet of 3 until today. One of the things that happened was we had aircraft in different parts of the state, and because we downsized, we didn't have the need for that, and so everything became more centralized. So that affected us because our response time was not as good, because the aircraft we had weren't any faster, didn't have any more capability, and so our response time to these locations where we used to be, were no longer there, was much longer. Well, we're very excited because at that time we'd lost just about all our aircraft, and so to us as pilots, we're seeing everything going away. And we didn't know when it would stop. So we didn't know if we'd have jobs even. So to hear talk about buying more was something new to us. And so it gave us, hope that better things were coming and that we'd be able to provide the service that we were there for. So, and then we knew, at that time too, knowing what the equipment that's on here that we've never had before, the video downlink, especially, that gives us a capability that we've never had before in our history. Our radio equipment in there, we can put any police frequency in there that we choose, so we can talk to just about anybody, a police agency or not. So it's a tremendous capability. There's a low jack in there that if somebody's missing, Alzheimer's patients that have a low jack transmitter on them, we can receive it, we can go right to them. So, our response times are much better in finding people. And the different technology on there, like the MX-10 camera, that in itself has come such a long way from where it used to be. It's a smaller camera, it's more compact, and it can do some amazing things. So, yeah. So you can, they tell us in training that you could see a cell phone from 50 miles away with the night vision goggles, which is another technology that we're using that we've never used before, except we started this year basically with that. Glass cockpit. Yeah, it's just it's a flat screen, so they call it a glass cockpit. And it takes the place of all the round dials that we used to have, but it provides a lot more than that. It's very user friendly, and it takes a lot of workload off the pilot because he's got so much information right in front of him that he doesn't have to look around different places to see what's going on with the engine, to see where he's going, to see what's nearest to him. All those things are right there on that panel.
It's nice to see that there's an understanding of the value of police aviation to the state of Indiana. And the great thing is these guys will respond, they're going to help sheriff's departments, they're going to help local PD guys, they're going to help troopers. This is a benefit not just to the state police, but it's a benefit to the whole state.